Okay. Look, I think last practice in Shells, we'll be able to put the pads on. We got a day off tomorrow. We'll put the pads on Monday, and we'll start practicing real football. So excited about seeing that. I think we had a good first 4 days to get started. And I think we're making some progress. Obviously, we've got a long way to go, but excited about putting pads on Monday.
Anything stand out to you after the first 4 practices?
Yeah, I just think the competition between both sides has been good. Got a lot of effort on both sides. We've taken the ball away a few times defensively. We've had a few explosive plays offensively. So I think there's a little bit of back and forth between the two units, and I think that's what you're looking for in a good football team is, both units having their plays.
Yeah, but you talked about guys flashing. Would you say Mason Tipton has done that so far?
Yeah, I think so. This is one of these, rookie free agents out of Yale that, I really didn't know a lot about. One of the guy we spent a lot of time talking about in the draft process. And look, I think anytime you see guys like that, I think that's a credit to our scouting department and their ability to identify players, and there's a management to the draft, and for us to be able to identify that player as a guy that has skill set that we like, that might have a chance, and then of course we got to be able to get him to sign as a free agent. But yeah, he's certainly somebody that's caught my eye in the first 4 days, and really go back into the spring.
Do you know what the scouting staff liked about him, or what did they tell you about him?
I think the intelligence and the speed. I think that was the main thing that we looked at was, this kid can run, and he's smart, not just yell smart, he's football smart, and I think there's a difference.
How did Spencer look out there today?
Yeah, I thought overall he looked pretty good. I mean, this was a hell of a throw on the corner route over here on this side versus kind of a two-man looking coverage. So, yeah, I think all of these guys, every quarterback, I think, has had their moments where they've done the things that we think they're capable of doing, right? And so now the key is, how can we get that to be more and more consistent every single day, every single play, every single practice, every single rep? And I think that's what we're working towards. But I think you can see the flashes of, when he does it right, it's pretty good.
Dennis, can you get a sense of where the run game is right now before you guys go to pads?
Yeah, look, it's really hard to tell right now. Run game, run defense. It's hard to tell right now. We'll have a better feel for it when we're able to put the pads on and really thud up the ball carrier and things of that nature, and you will see a little bit more of, you get out into these environments sometimes and you're watching the play, and you don't, when we're not really hitting or thudding everything up, it's hard to tell whether a guy could or couldn't make a play, right? And so I think we'll have a better idea when we put the pads on. But I do think there's some understanding of what we're trying to do. I think there's some cohesiveness, up front with how we're blocking things. I think our guys are working in concert pretty good together. So that's been encouraging.
It might be a little too early on this one too, but in the first 2 days, what have you seen from Nick Saldivario?
Probably the same thing that I was talking about with a lot of these guys. In particular the young guys. I mean, I've seen some really good things from him, some athletic movement skills from him that I think have been good, and then I've seen a lot of things that he's got to work to improve on. And so, but again, look, he's making progress. Now the key is we got to make some pretty fast progress, and so that's what I'm looking for out of him is accelerate the process a little bit.
We didn't see Brian Brzee out there today.
He's dealing with a foot injury.
You guys
Where's
are
Lattimore at? Like, is he expected to miss a lot of time?
I'm not going to get into time frames with him, or anybody really, in terms of time frames of when guys will, be back. He's dealing with a hip flexor injury.
What have you guys liked about Will Harris? It seems like he's getting a good look out.
Yeah, look, size, athleticism, speed. He's a rangy safety, and he comes to work every day. He's a grinder, so all those things are good. I think he's another one that, the more he gets accustomed to what we're doing defensively and the way we're asking our guys to operate back there, I think he'll get even more and more comfortable at the position. And I think he's a guy that, potentially there could be multiple roles for. So, but that I think is going to really be determined, over the course of the next, month or 6 weeks, whatever the case may be.
When you read, with there being so much, newness in the offensive line, how much does Erik McCoy's job increase his awareness around him?
Well, obviously that's a huge factor. Look, the center position in general is the communicator on the offensive line. He's the guy that's, making sure, we understand, where we're working, and being able to get it adjusted when the picture changes. And so the communication starts with him. And so I think he's got, a big part of that. And in particular, because we do have so many new pieces, in particular young pieces on the offensive line, I think that and Caesar's role, I think, has to increase.
When you were interviewing offensive coordinator candidates, how much did you bring up Taysom's role, or were you interested to see if those candidates had a vision for Taysom, and then in relation to Clint, did something sell you about?
I don't think it was really that. I think it was mostly about not him in particular, but just, okay, what's the scheme? What are the things that you believe in? And then within that, how do you adjust your scheme to fit what some of your guys can do? And certainly Taysom's name came up in conversation, but it wasn't like that was a huge, talking point.
And I know Taysom hasn't been a traditional quarterback in a while now here, but I don't think we've seen him throw a pass in a minute. Just how is he kind of handling that?
Awesome. Yeah, he's been awesome. He's handled everything that we've thrown at him, and we've thrown a lot at him. He's playing a lot of different positions, a lot of different areas, motions, shifts, alignments, positions. But he's handled it like a true pro. And look, there's a lot of guys that have an athletic skill set, but you can't throw that much on them because they can't handle it mentally. This is a guy that can handle a ton mentally, and it's been fun for me to see a fresh vision for how we can utilize this player. It's not just as the Wildcat quarterback. There's a lot of other things that this guy can do, both in the running game and the passing game.
Do you see a clear vision for him, or is it still sort of a work in progress?
Yeah, well, the clear vision is he's going to do a lot of stuff, right? I mean, he's going to do a lot of stuff. He's going to run routes, both from inline, out wide, out of the backfield. He's going to block. He's going to run the ball from the backfield. So, yeah, I mean, I see him as a guy that's going to do a ton of different stuff. He's going to line up at the quarterback position at some point in time, and so I think he's an awesome weapon to have, and I think he's extremely selfless in terms of a person, in terms of a player, and just wants to do whatever he can to help the team win, and I know I appreciate that.
We've seen a lot of Kool-Aid the last 2 days on the outside.
Say it again?
We've seen a lot of Kool-Aid the last 2 days on the outside. How valuable are these reps for him right now? What are you looking for him to show?
Well, extremely valuable. I mean, he's a rookie that missed all the spring, so he's 1,000 reps behind. So every rep that he can get is a learning experience for him. good news for him is that he's smart. He comes from a system that did a lot in college, fundamentally and technique. He's sound. And yet there's differences in terms of how we do things compared to what he did in college, and so he's got to get, up to speed on those things. So, but he'll be a quick study, and look, he's just got to get out here and get the reps.
What are all the positions Taysom has played?
Well, he's played tight end, he's played running back, he's played fullback, he's played wide receiver. He hasn't played any defense yet. He's played personal protector. He's been a kickoff returner. I'm probably missing something, but I mean, just about every potential skill position that you can think of, he's done it. Punt rush.
And there's different alignments for each of
You're out there watching, aren't you?
What's that?
Because he's been a quarterback, does that allow you to kind of just put off him throwing the ball if need be? You know he can do it. So
Yeah. Look, I mean, he can handle a lot, right? But at some point, why don't we get him good at the things that maybe he hadn't done quite as much? And let's get him good at those things, and then it's kind of like riding a bicycle a little bit. We'll be able to get him back on the bike a little bit and line him up at the quarterback position some.
And is him throwing the ball, let's say you wanted to install plays that made him be a throwing option, is that something that comes up more in the regular season when you're specifically game planning?
Yeah, well, look, I think the obvious thing is how are teams playing him when he's at the quarterback position? And if we're getting advantageous looks to be able to run the football, then it makes sense to run the football. If we're getting advantageous looks to throw the football, then it makes sense to throw the football. I don't know what those looks are going to be yet until we kind of get into the season and see how teams, want to try to play him. Now, look, we got a pretty good idea how he's been played in the past, and based on the teams that we play, we'll probably go into each game plan with a little bit of an idea of what we want to do there.
When you look at joint practices, I know you have a 2-day, right? Still with the. Have you heard talk or the coaches talk about a preference more now towards the 1-day? And do you have any idea why that is? Do they talk about
I think this. I think you get an opportunity to work against a lot of different looks instead of the same look, all the time. The rules of the game are you can only have 2 joint practices with one team. You can have up to 4 total joint practices. And so I think, we're not doing that. So it's probably a better question for other coaches. But, they get an opportunity to work against, 3 different teams, potentially, and 3 different offensive schemes, defensive schemes, special team schemes. Some of this may have to do with the new kickoff rule, and they want to get a look at what other teams are doing.
It doesn't have anything to do with maybe they feel that 2 days increases the chances of a fight or something. Have you ever heard anyone talk about that? Or?
Yeah, I think that's probably. I haven't done the study, but I'd say my gut reaction is that you probably have a little bit more of that going on day 2 than you do during day 1. You go to a joint practice, you have the first day's practice. One team or the other is going to feel like they got the better of the other team. Those coaches are going to go yell at their players. Their players are going to be pissed off, and then that's how that stuff happens, right? I mean, that's typically, kind of how that happens. I think, look, the big thing, with joint practices, I think, you got to kind of put a lot on the head coaches to try to get that stuff, under control ahead of time. And look, certainly there's no foolproof way, but you're talking about guys competing at a high level. But yeah, I think it's probably an accurate statement.
With the Tipton or guys like him, how much curiosity is there or background on when it's apparent that he's a legit prospect? Okay, well then why did he go to this small program You know, was it just because he was a late bloomer, or?
Yeah, I think we're always kind of trying to figure those things out just a little bit. But I do think that's part of the deal. You know, sometimes it's an academic issue. Sometimes it's a size issue. Sometimes it's some of these guys are 130 pounds when they come out of high school, and then all of a sudden they, get into college and they get to be 185, 190 pounds, and they become a different type player. So, but you see guys all the time, coming from some of these smaller programs that end up making it. Now, if you want to talk about percentages, there's a lot more percentage that are making it from, the bigger programs, obviously. But there's football players in a lot of different places, and you just have to, go try to find them. And look, I think our scouting staff has done as good as anybody going and finding those guys.
So Tipton probably wasn't an academic issue, unless it was the good kind where he just really wanted to go to Ivy League.
Sometimes you're too smart to play football, but I don't know if he's in that category. All right? Okay, guys, thank you.
All right.
We said no hard questions.
Oh, that's fair.
Erik, just the first 4 days of practice, I know you guys put the pads on for the first time Monday. Just your assessment of how you think it's gone so far?
Yeah, I would think it's been really good. I think the competition has been really good. I think we've had some big plays. Defense has some turnovers. We've had some good runs. We've had some that were stuffed. I feel like it's been a good competition so far. It's been enjoyable.
Is it hard to evaluate you guys as a whole?
No. I think that we've played pretty well so far. I think even though the pads aren't on, it's full speed. Like, we all know that. Whether we're in spiders, whether we're without pads, like, O-line and D-line is going. And I think guys have gotten better even in this short amount of time in 4 days.
Erik, it seems like y'all are running.
Would you mind standing behind the podium?
Oh, my bad.
So we can hear you. No, it's okay.
Seems like y'all are running, at least stuff we're able to see a lot of play action.
Yeah.
Does that help y'all as an offensive line just to mix a lot of that in, and so, like, why?
Yeah, play action is my pride and joy. The more the better. Just because it gives you an opportunity to be aggressive, even when you're passing the ball. And, it opens up windows in the run game. Like, if they can tell if it's a run or a pass, then you get people playing slow on the defensive side of the ball, and that leads to big plays.
How would you describe where Nick Saldivari is right now, and maybe his strengths from the way you see it?
Mm-hmm. The one thing I can say about Nick is he busted his ass over the offseason. He was injured, had a surgery, had to come back from that, and he put in the freaking work over the offseason. I would say transformed his body, and big, stout, athletic, and I think that he can be a really good ball player for us for a long time. I'm proud of him, and I'm happy for him.
How much have you seen your role as, of course, the leader, the communicator of the offensive line increase with so many more young faces around you?
I'm sorry, was that a question statement?
Both.
Okay, yes, yeah, no. I've said it a couple times. Before Lucas Patrick got here, I was the oldest guy in the room, which is crazy. I'm in year 6, so I feel like I have the role of leader, but I also, with so many young guys, I need to kind of be their friend a little bit as well, because it's hard to coach somebody up, discipline somebody if they don't feel like they can come and talk to you as a person and as a man. So that's something that I've been learning. And we have a lot of young guys. So I'm excited for how these guys are going to grow and develop throughout camp and then throughout the season.
How have you seen Trevor Penning really, adapt to continue to grow with his new role now on the right side?
Yeah, I would say that his confidence has grown a ton. And I feel like as an offensive lineman, that is the biggest key to success. If you have confidence, you can play. It was a hard situation last year. But this year, I really think that this can change the trajectory of his career. If he comes out and plays the way that I know he can play.
You see a change in him? I'm sorry.
You got it.
I'm sorry. You see a change in him? You just said like you see
Yes, I see.
something different in his mindset or attitude or something.
I can see the confidence in him, and I think it's just as simple as that. Like, he's not afraid of making a mistake, which I feel like that's how he spent a decent amount of last year.
And with Tali on the left side, how is he fully grasping the offense? How is he adapting to the NFL level with the practices?
I will say this: as long as I've been here, he is the best rookie offensive lineman that I've seen. Just as far as his mental, his physical, and I think Tali is a freaking dog. Like, I'm a fan already, but don't put that anywhere because he can't know that. I got to talk him down a little bit.
Tell him you use Twitters.
Yeah, I'm telling him to delete it.
He's on a live stream.
Okay.
Is kind of, you know, one of the leaders or the leader of the offensive line room, you, Caesar, like, what role do you guys play in keeping Trevor's mind right, making sure the confidence doesn't go the wrong way or anything like that?
Yeah, I think we just have to keep building them up. Like I said, last year, his rookie year, like, that was tough. Like, I think if that was any of us, that would be a tough thing to kind of have happen and go through. So I think building him up, and not disciplining, but correcting him even when he does make a mistake, but in a matter that is still elevating him.
What's the art of that? Like,
you know, it's like, damn, Trev, you just got your ass kicked, but I know that you can block him. So come out this next time and do it.
yeah.
First of all, can you tell that he's technically learning left tackle, or does it seem kind of natural?
Tali?
Yeah.
Guy's a freaking natural. I truly believe that he could play all four. He can't play center. He could play all four positions on the line and be a dog. Like, I think he's going to be that good of a football player.
What does it do to just have someone that you don't necessarily have to worry about a rookie that can come in and play, especially since you guys have 3 new spots on the line?
Is it real? Damn, it is 3. No, I think it's huge because I think, truthfully, I think he's going to. I don't want to build him up too much, and I don't want to, project what I'm feeling on him to everybody else. I think it's going to be a lockdown. Like I said, I'm a fan. That's all I can say about him.
I don't want to build him up too much, but I'm going to build him up.
I can't help it. I'm a fan. And I think, what's that?
You started.
Yeah, he's way better than I was as a rookie.
But I'm saying, like, you know what it takes to start as a rookie. Like, you've done it before. It's not, like, crazy, right? Like, some guys can do it.
Some guys can do it. It's hard. I think it's hard to not start as a rookie, but excel as a rookie. I think there's a difference between just being a guy out there and being a guy out there. And I think he's going to be a guy out there.
Eric, anytime that we talk about the new offensive system, there's always sort of the elements of the game. You talk about play action, motion, things like that. But one thing that always comes up with players is the word fun, that they're actually having fun in the system. Can you express a little bit about how important that is and how that actually does play a role?
Yeah. I don't really know how to expound upon that much, but just saying that it is fun. The ability to compete, the ability to know that the big play is coming. And just knowing that each coach out there is instilling so much confidence in you to go out there and execute is fun.
And how important is, it feels like fun is such a thing that we never talk about in football to be like a part of, but how important is it for fun to be a part of what you do?
I feel like when football is fun, it's easy. When it feels like a business, it's hard. And like there's going to be hard days. Like that's just the reality of the game. But when you're having fun playing, like truly having fun playing, it makes it so much easier. And I think that you can sense that with the entire offense out there.
I know the wideouts got to block a little bit more. Have many of them
Yes,
come
they
to you?
do. Yes, they do, and I love it. I love it.
Does it come to you for any tips?
They haven't come to me for any tips because I don't really be out there blocking those little skinny people. But they do have to block more, and I love it. I truly do. It's an emphasis in every meeting.
What have you noticed with Jordan Mims?
Young Mims. Mimsy. I'm a Mims fan. I feel like he's a guy that not a lot of people know about. Just because we picked him up last year. I don't remember. It might have been week 2, week 3. But even throughout all of last year and seeing him on the P squad and seeing him go against our defense, I was like, this kid can go. And I think throughout this camp, it's just, you can just see that even more. Like, he can go.
What stands out to you about John Bitten's approach?
JB, same word you used earlier, fun. Yes, he corrects us. Yes, he ensures that we are doing everything correctly and we are executing. but he's fine. Like, the meetings are fine, practice is fine, and he instills so much confidence in each and every one of us to go out there and ball. And I appreciate that. Good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric.
Yep.
Hey.
How's it going, guys? Good.
All right. I think I ask you this every training camp. Do you have a clearer picture now of how you're going to be used than maybe you did in past years, or is it still being figured out as we go?
Yeah, I think it's still being figured out. I think the hard thing, right, obviously it's the first year with a new staff, and we haven't had a game week, So I think so much of training camp for me is you're trying to install your base plays, right? Let's install the offense and let's get some reps and time on task with that. And that becomes a little bit challenging, right, for a guy like me. And I feel like Clint and the staff has done a really good job of incorporating me doing different things. So yes, I do feel like I have, a good idea, but I still think that they're figuring what that is going to look like come, week one.
Taysom, have you now played more positions on offense than you haven't?
I don't know. I've kind of checked everyone off the list except the O-line, I don't do a ton of stuff, as a split out receiver, but there's a little bit of everything sprinkled in there.
How would you say it is different for you? Like, what's the biggest thing that's different in this system for you than maybe the last couple of years so far?
God, that's a good question. Again, it's a little bit hard because I really don't know what that's going to look like, as we get into the season. But I feel like the use of the fullback in this system that role has been expanded, in this system, and so I would say that I have done more of that than I've really done. So that's probably the first answer that comes to mind.
Do you enjoy those?
Just playing quarterback, had that helped mentally to be able to kind of handle the volume of what you had to do mentally?
Yeah, it has, and I've always said this before, like, I was in the last system for 7 years, so as we had this transition, I was learning everything, through the mind of a quarterback, so that transition made it a little bit easier. Now, learning a new system this year is a little bit, harder because I can't just focus on a thing, I'm trying to learn as much as I can, but I think having the experience of playing quarterback, learning concepts as a whole, I think has certainly helped me.
Well, Gia talked about how for him it seemed a little refreshing to see you have a different role.
Say it again?
Gia talked about how it was refreshing that you had a bit of a different role compared to the past. Do you have that same sentiment, or is it just a little bit more mentally taxing?
No, I would say, look, I'm not like, I'm not like Cam Jordan old, but I've been in a system for a while now, and so I think it is nice to be challenged in different ways, and from that standpoint, that has been fun for me. It's been a challenge, but it has been fun, So whether you call that refreshing or fun for me, that has been a fun experience.
Are you enjoying being at the fullback spot?
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that our defensive guys will come up to me and make jokes like, "Oh, where are you playing today?" Like, we don't know how to call your personnel when you're in the huddle, and they're saying, "Hey, 7's in the huddle," and so they have to be able to know that could mean a lot of different things, So the more that I can do there, and then the more I can do other places, I think it just makes us harder to defend.
Isn't that's part of the intent in terms of how to impact the opposing defenses in the regular season as well, right?
For sure.
To create that type of confusion.
Yes, for sure.
How do you experience any of that in games too, in terms of defensive players making remarks to you about that?
Yeah. No, I've heard a number of different things. or if we'll sign guys, you know, that are here for the first year, and they'll talk about what that was like getting prepped to play us in a game week and stuff. So I've had some fun conversations with, you know, new teammates that I've played through the years.
Is there a sense of pride in that for you, that you create that sort of?
I don't know. I don't know that I really think of it that way, to be honest. But it is a fun conversation. And look, at the end of the day, like, we're all chasing an experience, right? We're all chasing the expectation in the NFL. I don't care who you are, what team you're on, the expectation doesn't change, right? Like, the expectation is to win, the expectation is to play in the postseason. And, you know, we've talked about this in the past here, that when you're on a team that wins and you go and have this postseason run, you know, you become part of the NFL history, and at the end of the day, that's all that matters, right? That's all we're chasing.
When's the last time you threw a pass? Has thrown a pass?
You're talking like in a practice in a team
or just
setting,
like,
or what?
I mean, like, I don't know, if you're working out over the summer, like, do you still throw?
Yeah, I throw balls. I throw a ball. I'll throw a ball every day at some point, just to make sure I still can.
Has that been weird for you not to throw as maybe frequently as, I know you've been doing this a couple of years now, but like.
No, it hasn't. You know, I think it's one of those things that I still feel really comfortable and confident doing that. And it's trying to spend time on things that I, you know, haven't had a ton of time on task doing. And so I try to do my best at getting exposure to all those things. So that is something that I'll never let, you know, slip.
And then I think back in the spring you told us that, like, when you had a frank conversation with Clint, like, how much of that was, or that frankness was like, hey, maybe you're not going to be throwing as much as you're used to? Like, did that cover any of that?
You know, we haven't really talked about that. You know, I think as we talked earlier, I think that what I'm going to be doing is we're still trying to figure that out, you know. So, and when you get to training camp, you're not game planning stuff, right? You're not putting some of these, you know, maybe more exotic packages that you would call, but we're just trying to get our base stuff in, and you know, we're 3 installs into it, so we haven't hit any of those unique packages that you would say. So I don't know if that's fair to say. I haven't talked to Clint about that specifically.
Hey, so when we're watching you guys, there's a lot more like play action, bootleg than we're used to seeing.
Yeah.
I'm just curious from your experience as a quarterback, what that does to help you out, if anything specifically, like a picture or whatever it might be.
From just like an offensive perspective,
Yep.
in general.
Yep.
Well, first I would say that that's fair to say. You know, I think that the play action, naked movement stuff has been more of an emphasis this year. But I would say that we have made more of an emphasis in running the ball. You know, I think that we've ran outside zone more than we historically have here, but the intent is to get really good at that so we can run, you know, nakeds and boots and stuff off of that. So to go along with that, I just think that makes us harder to defend, you know. So that definitely has been an emphasis, and I think that that's something that will carry throughout the season.
So I mean, that just goes into one of the multiple different ways that you're trying to present the same picture.
Yeah.
And then make the defense basically react slower.
For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but I mean, I think that's what this offense is kind of built around, right? Run outside zone and set up everything else, you know.
When you've been learning like this playbook and talking about that not challenge, but that like fresh approach of learning something new, how much of that is the motions and, you know, do you enjoy like kind of pre-snap stuff or?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think that that's probably from you know what Clint does. That's where the exotic stuff comes in. You know, we're going to run what we run, but man, we are going to give you a ton of different looks. We're going to give you a ton of different movements, shifts, motions, and whether that's across the ball, out to in to out. So I think that that's what makes this offense harder to stop, but it does add more stress onto us as players, you know. So we're getting a lot of reps in doing this stuff, and you know, I think it is challenging guys, but I think so far, like, everyone has done a really nice job of learning it.
Okay, so as you've gotten later in your career, has there been times where you've had to kind of step back and say, like, you know, think about more how much contact you take and whether it's necessary? Like, are there points that, you know, you have to kind of fight against your own nature to kind of run like a snowplow, or, you know, get out of bounds in terms of, hey, I want to be available all season long? How do you kind of measure that?
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's a couple things. The first answer is no, I don't think about that. And I would say, as soon as I start thinking that way, like, it's time for me to be done, you know? I've always played the game one way, and if I can't do that anymore, then I'm not going to do it, you know? I think this game requires too much. My teammates are putting too much into it, that if I have to start thinking along those lines, it's not fair to them, it's not fair to me. But as far as, you know, thinking more about, you know, my career, I would be lying if I said I, you know, haven't become a little more nostalgic, you know, as I've thought back to, you know, my career, college days, to how I ended up here, you know. So I have been a little bit more that way, just as a whole.
Is a defensive snap on your career bucket list now?
No, I mean, it's not on my bucket list, but look, it's always there, you know. We kind of always joke, but there have been a few situations where, you know, a few guys went down, and all of a sudden, I had a few defensive coaches coming to me saying, "Hey, we might need you to do this," but
like the other team's going to try a Hail Mary at the end of the half. Something like that, would that be a play you could do?
Yeah, I think that would count, but no, I don't think so. Those guys are so well trained to do all this stuff, but no, I don't know. But never say never.
Do you remember when the Patriots took Troy Brown, the receiver, and put him in defensive back in a pinch?
Yep, I remember that, and I think Gronk did that too for them, not in a pinch, but in a Hail Mary situation, right? I think they've kind of done some things that way.
So what are your thoughts about kickoff rule, the new kickoff rule?
Yeah, I think it's exciting. You know, I think it's hard to know how that's going to affect the game, but man, I think it's going to add like some really exciting plays in our game. And as you think of historically what that play has been over the last few years, you know, statistically it's really been a non-factor. You know, it really hasn't been a play. So I think it's an exciting thing. I'm excited to see, you know, how that plays out, but I think it's going to add a lot of fun and a lot of excitement to the game, to fans, to us as teammates. Like, it'll be fun.
Maybe left tackle, guard, you know, which one would you do if you was on the line?
None of those. None of those.
Thanks, guys.
All right, guys.
Thanks. Hey, JT, what can you kind of tell us about your SB's experience and kind of how that come about?
Its experience, it was pretty great. Met a lot of guys out there, a lot of opportunities out there. Just rubbing elbows and creating opportunities for the future. It was a great experience.
What kind of opportunities for the future?
Just things outside of football, the things that I'm interested to get into.
Sorry, Dad. They sent out a note yesterday saying that you're great at bowling. What's your average? What do you bowl?
Right now, it's been a while. I'm kind of dusty right now. But the last time we did a competition against the receivers, and The highs I got was 250. Got 250 that day. So my average really right now is like 200, 205.
That's
something
dusty.
like that.
That's your dusty average? Or?
Yeah, that's dusty. That's dusty right now. So when I'm really in there, I'm like 230. You know.
Have you ever bowled a 300?
I got to 285. Got close, but I never got there yet.
When did you kind of get into bowling?
Got into bowling rookie year. Well, we really started in college. Going out to team bonding event. You know, I was going out there with my teammates. Wasn't coming in first, so I decided to get better at it. So we did it as a team when I was a rookie here, and decided to up my game, get my own bowling ball. Started with 1, now I'm at 5.
No bowling alley in Clarksville, right?
No bowling alley now, nope.
JT, what do you think about how Kool-Aid's really been progressing so far?
Kool-Aid's been progressing very well as a rook, coming in and showing his abilities and his skills to be able to come out and compete. I'm excited to see him to continue to progress and become the player that we was expecting for him to be.
A lot of people, talk about him and they say how smart he is. How much do you think his intellect is really shortening his learning curve?
That's very impressive for Rick to come in and do that. He's been showing how smart he is, coming out and anticipating plays and going out and doing his job at a high level.
JT, what are your thoughts about I may have asked you this before, but you've got to do a little bit more now, the new kickoff rules and how it affects what you do best.
Let me ask you this. How you think? What you think about it?
I'm still trying to figure it out.
Trying to figure out. I'm excited. The coach is excited. The players are excited. The fans are excited. I feel like it's going to be a lot of opportunities for plays to be made. And starting off is going to be very interesting and exciting for everybody. So we get some action on the first play, and I feel like that's what everybody's looking forward to.
For your bowling, do you throw it like a professional, like where where they tuck it in and then how do you?
So my bowling ball got 2 holes drilled in it, so I just put it in, cuff it with my hand, and I got my technique. I got my 4-step technique. So I get myself aligned and I go through my routine, and now it's just like second nature to me. So I guess you can say it's pro, but I learned from YouTube University, so I know a little bit.
How long did it take you to kind of drill that down?
Drill what?
Like the technique of.
It took me, I'd say, about 2 weeks to really just get comfortable with, delivering the ball and sliding with, my shoes I got bowling shoes. So, it took about 2 weeks.
Have you ever yelled, "Who do you think you are, I am"?
I have. It's a good feeling. Trying to get the when I get turkey, I feel good getting the turkey. Starting off with the turkey is always good,
They said they call you Kingpin, all right?
Yeah, Kingpin. Yeah. Kingpin or Mr. X. It just depending on,
yeah, all right.
I'm trying to scratch it out. It just depends on who you want to see that day.
Okay, all right.
Who gave it? Did you come up with that name or somebody gave it to you?
Yeah, I created the name, and that's what they just called me now because I showed them that.
Yeah, when you're hitting 250, you can tell them to say it.
No, it made me feel good.
Kobe and created your own nickname.
Yeah.
Is it a custom-made ball then?
Yeah, it's custom made.
And what does it look like? What color is it and stuff?
I got a purple one. I got a gold one. I got a blue and green one. I got a clear one. I got a red and black one. I got a couple of them, it depending on what kind of lane I'm on. Maybe, pull one out. It just depends how the lane reacting.
This may be really dumb, but after you're done with football, are you going to try to be a professional bowler?
We'll see. Have to see.
You must be
Pro bowler.
curious how you stack up, though, aren't you? Are you curious?
What you mean?
How you stack up on the pro bowling tour or not?
I haven't been on an actual pro lane, so I'm really trying to, once I get my feet wet on the pro lane, then I can see where I stand and what I need to crispy up on my technique.
Who on the team is like your toughest competition?
Right now, I say Jonathan Abrams. Then him go head to head a lot.
Chris Paul is a basketball player. He used to play in New Orleans like Poland.
Oh, he does?
Yeah, he might be a guy that has.
Oh, for sure. We had to connect for sure. Yeah, I had to meet him on the hardwood, on the other hardwood.
What is Jonathan Abrams?
Say, he's up there. We go tit for tat, so we got similar averages, and it's always a battle when we're in there.
Were y'all at state at the same time, or?
Yeah, we was at the state at the same
Did y'all
time.
play up there?
Did we? I don't think we played that year. I'm not sure. I really don't remember.
Anything else? Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
you feel like the first week here has been going so far?
It's been going great. Honestly, I think that, everybody's out here ready to compete. Everybody's excited to be back. I mean, obviously, everybody's going to be excited first week. But we've been carrying that energy from the first day on and all the way into the off day. I think we're excited to get back after the off day, get in the pads, get in some real football. So I think it's been going really well.
How much does putting the pads on help you in your position?
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can't play defensive line without, pads and a helmet. So it's a lot of our moves and a lot of things we work is off of having pads, something to grip. So I think that'll help us kind of get in that feel of real football again before we start getting ready to go play our first preseason game. And, I think that, it's pivotal, obviously, to have those pads on and just, get into the flow of things.
How much do you enjoy the one-on-one drill, D-line, O-line? You got McCoy. I know sometimes he'll get you, but how good that last rep. I mean, you just lifted McCoy right out of the way, went right to the quarterback.
I've been going against E for a long time, man. We've had some good battles. I think we came out in the Senior Bowl together, so I've known him before my NFL career. But man, I love working against him because he likes to change up his sets, which forces me to change up my rush. And that was just, I got the best of him, but like you said, he's got the best of me plenty of times. And it's just, a work in progress. We got to keep stacking and keep building off of each other. But yeah, it definitely feels good to get a clean win every time. No matter who it's against, you coming through clean and you can envision the sack. But honestly, that's the, I wouldn't say the easiest part, but after you get past them, you still got to get the quarterback. So, obviously you got to keep working and finish the rep.
Khalen, when we're watching this offense, like today, we saw like a ton of PA boot.
Yeah.
Just from your perspective, is a defensive tackle who's like looking to stop the run. Like, what's the challenge of going up against an offensive run like that?
Yeah, I hate it, honestly. I mean, they get you running, but that's just good that I hate it because I'm not going against it. The other 31 teams is, but yeah, no, I think that. That play action and stuff like that, and just getting the point of the launch point moving, and then also getting the quarterback off the spot a little bit as far as just not having them kind of be a sitting duck back there. And then on top of that, we got one of the greatest O-lines to do that. We got real athletes on our O-line. We got guys who can run really fast, laterally and stuff like that. So it plays to our strengths really well. I think that that's going to be on display this year as far as just playing to our strengths a little better on both sides of the ball, honestly. And, I think that that moving and, having the defense have to guess like, oh, okay, is this actually a run or is he going to stick it out there and then put it in his pocket and, turn and throw it somewhere. So it forces us to play honest. It forces us to, actually lock into our keys and then, just execute.
And Taysom was kind of referencing this it's like wide zone, boot.
Yeah.
And so you have to really sell the.
Yes. Okay. Yes, you gotta. Yeah, definitely. I think that's gonna be a big part of our offense. Is definitely setting up our boots and stuff like that. And but like you said, you got to keep it honest because we do have Alvin Kamara. So that one time you got that 3-tech or nose. Oh, I think it's a boot. I'm gonna play backside. Now you reach, and now Alvin Kamara is running to the end zone. So got to keep it honest, and like I said, I think it's going to play to our strengths this year.
Khalen, you talked about how you have the athletes on the offensive line, and obviously more of an interior guy. But what have you seen out of Taliesin so far?
Oh yeah, he's going to be a great addition for us. He's very stout. I mean, getting to go against Carl every day, that's going to do nothing but make you better. Carl is one of the better ends in this league, so I think that he's going to be a really good asset for us. Has great feet, obviously, can move, can dance, kind of a dancing bear type of guy. Can absorb all of the power, but he has power also to give and generate power. So I think he's going to be a great addition, and then having him, working in with the guys who've already been in there, and then even Sal, the second year guy, he was hurt a lot last year, and now he's getting in there and getting some reps against ones and twos, and him too. He's going to be a good addition for us, a great piece for us, working in there with E and C's and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I think Tally though he's going to be a dog for us for sure.
Khalen, did you run track in high school? The drill right after stretch when y'all laid the 4 balls out, you were absolutely flying.
Man,
and smoked out some of those other guys to the ball.
You know, it's deceptive speed, man. I like to say. You know what I'm saying? I don't like to pull it out all the time, but got to sometimes. Like last year against the Bears, you know what I'm saying? I had to run down a 4-3 real quick and light work. You know what I'm saying?
I got a new offensive coordinator you talked about. Give you some touches.
Oh, duh. You know that. Like, it don't matter who came in here calling the plays. I'm going to actually Coach Dub, the receiver coach, he had made a joke though, because I was talking to him and I was telling him how I played receiver against the Bears last year. And he was like, man, you got to them pictures quicker than I can get to my kid's birthday picture. I was like, hey, you got to have them on standby. You never know what my audition going to be, man. Like, so, but no, you already know, man. I'm trying to get there. Had the number change, man. Look a little more. If I'm running fast enough, it look like 20. You know what I'm saying? So, look like I might be a skill position.
You ever been involved in or just been at a joint practice where there was a scuffle?
And actually, my first year of joint practices was last year. Before I came to the Saints, I was with the Chiefs, and we did not do any joint practices. So that was my last year was my first one with the Chargers, right? And I mean, I don't think it was a scuffle last year, but yeah, that was my first ever joint practice. So I don't got too much experience in joint practices anyway.
Anything else?
Good.
Thank you, Big.
All right, thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Do you have a minute? Can I get